What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Elizabeth. This is EJ Joyful Plans, and we are finally getting into your Go Wild questions. So we are over a month from the Go Wild Planner Conference, but we are a year out from the next one. I don't think they've posted dates or location yet. So we're a year out, and so I know that this video will be referenced later throughout the year as we get closer to Go Wild. So welcome if you are new to my channel and you found me because you were searching for Go Wild. I hope you'll stick around after this video. But today, Q&A, really excited for it. You guys gave me lots of questions. I'm gonna try not to leave anything out, but before I do that, I have to say a few things because it's really important that you understand the context in which I attended so that you can understand how it may or may not be applicable to you, right? Because everyone's experience is going to be different. We all have different personalities. We have different comfort levels with other people. Some of us have social anxiety. I mean, there's a number of things that come into play. So let me just say, a little bit about myself. First of all, I am not at all affiliated with or associated with Go Wild or with the Wild for Planners folks. I haven't met any of them. I purchased the ticket on my own, and on almost all accounts, I went alone, okay? Now, I will say that I have been in the planner community for a while now and have built a lot of really strong relationships. So I know a lot of people. So while I went alone, I am connected. So my experience going alone might not be the same as yours going alone if you aren't as connected or haven't built as many relationships. So let me just say that if you are interested in attending Go Wild and you're new to the community, now is the time to just jump in because you will not be alone at Go Wild. No one will be alone. But I think having relationships with people that you can meet up with when you get there is a nice perk if you can get it. So let's start with what is Go Wild. Go Wild is a planner conference. And when I first heard about it, I was like, yeah, but like, what? Like, do you sit and like play with your planners or like, what does that mean? For me, having gone now for the first time, I will say Go Wild Planner Conference feels like a 2.5 day pep rally. There's motivational speeches. There's they're not motivational speakers, but the tone about it was about, how to create a life that you love, how to get through life and be satisfied in the mucky muck, just more inspirational than technical about planning and how-tos. So that is one thing that I didn't know going into it. You can kind of tell from the videos, like the promo videos, that it seems like a big party. It felt like a big party the whole time. And I think Go Wild is an appropriate conference title for it because I was telling Josh when I got home, I'm like, it's like Mom's Gone Wild. People's Gone Wild. We all have been cooped up for 2 years, and everyone finally got to be together. People who enjoy a lot of the same things just get to cut loose for a couple days and feel good and be and hear from people that want to encourage and uplift you. That is what Go Wild was to me. So someone asked what or who was my favorite presentation or speaker. This is a tough one because the presentations were really dynamic and different. Now, I haven't been to any other year, so I don't know how to compare it, but we heard from Stephanie Fleming. She was always encouraging. And Cindy was another really good one. She was pretty raw and just shared a lot, again, about how to accept and live into your life when it's nasty sometimes. And that her with Stephanie together was a good kind of mix of perspectives that were encouraging and inspirational. And again, not at all related to necessarily how to use your planner, but how to think about life. So I really enjoyed those. And then there was a stand-up comedian. She was fabulous. Like, she just She didn't say it. Her stand-up was not at all related to planners, but it just was a nice kind of break in the day. So I really liked the comedian. She was excellent. Is it possible to enjoy Go Wild without going with anyone? Yes, absolutely. But you have to realize that, so you're not in trouble. Let me put the pencil down. You get what you put into it. And I wish I could tell everybody that over and over again for every area of your life. Nothing changes if nothing changes, and you get what you put into it. So if someone's having a miserable time at Go Wild, it's because they didn't say yes. It wasn't for lack of opportunities or for invitations to go do things. It's because they just didn't say yes and chose to be alone. And even though you might go alone, you won't be alone once you're there. And there will be people inviting you to stuff, and it will be very lively, and you will have a great time. So just be willing to say yes. You have to decide to put your big girl panties on and step outside your comfort zone. And I know that can be hard for introverts. I'm an extroverted introvert / introverted extrovert. I can be on very easy, but my energy comes from rest, and I get burned out really quickly. And so I think I'm probably higher functioning than a lot of introverts because I can be on and I can go up to people and I'm totally good. But I know that there are a lot of people that aren't like that. And so all you have to do is say yes. You don't have to go up to people and be like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and can I go do this with you? You know, you can wait for people to come to you, but you have to have a welcoming presence. You have to appear to have an open door. So what you put into it, if you go alone, absolutely, you can have a great time. 1000%. Will you be going next year? Well, now that y'all know that I'm pregnant, that is putting a big question mark next to that question. By then, so it's typically in the spring, or it was in March this year, I'll have a 5-month newborn in March. 5 months, 6 months? I don't do math. In any case, this baby is going to be straight out the oven. So I don't know. There was a very pregnant woman at the conference, and I saw a couple strollers, but the babies were bigger. Certainly not a newborn. So I will have to just see how much support do I think I'll have taking a baby, and also where is the location going to be, because if it's a climate that won't do well with a stroller, I don't know. If I wasn't pregnant, I would say yes, but now I don't know. So I don't know. Favorite part of the experience. You've heard this a million times from so many people that have talked about Go Wild, but the people, I am telling you, there is nothing like meeting someone in person that you have developed an online relationship with for the last 2 years. There is nothing like it, especially when your expectations of them are met and vice versa. Nothing like a catfish situation. I did not feel catfished. I think I maybe felt catfished by maybe one person. I'm not naming names. I'm not here for tea. This is water. No, but for the most part, everybody was who they were online. And I think, one, that's a great asset to the planner community and something that you can kind of rest your hat on. Most people are being legit. They're not being fake. But two, it means that the relationships that you have developed online, they should be just as real when you meet them in person and you're spending a weekend with some of your closest friends. That felt incredible. That for sure was the best part. Okay. So somebody asked about mobility issues and being an introvert. I talked a little bit about the introvert part, but let me talk about mobility issues. I don't have any mobility issues. However, there were several women with electric wheelchairs. And this event was at a hotel that had elevators. and everything was elevator accessible or flat. So from my perspective, it was very accommodating of mobility issues. The first day, which is kind of the first day of the conference, which can get a little chaotic because people are running towards tables. We'll get to that. It was a little chaotic if you were in a chair and you didn't go in with the other folks with mobility issues before the crowd got let in. I know that that was one issue that first day where the folks who were in chairs were let in early so they could get settled. And then the crowd went in, and one of the ladies had chosen to go in with everybody else. And in doing so, because there's so many people, it was difficult, I think, for people to see that there was someone up ahead in a chair. And so that caused some issues. So I think that the conference did a great job of accommodating those with mobility issues. And I would say that if you are in a chair or you have a cane or a walker, anything like that, take advantage of the resources that are available to you so that you're not dealing with crowds. Because I do feel for that one woman that was kind of stuck in the crowd. And I wish that she had, gone in early, because I think that, that probably wasn't the best experience for her. And I felt bad about that. So just know that they are incredibly accommodating. You just got to identify yourself and make sure that you take advantage of those offerings to get into the room early. What was it like going up to people you know but have never met? Was it like their BFFs or a bit awkward? For me, me and the people, well, I'll just say for me, when I saw people that I knew, I went up to them like we're BFFs. So I was like them, kind of like, what? Oh my gosh. And then like my arms are open so that they know like I'm a hugger, like I'm here for hugs. So it was like on the initial meeting, everybody was like, oh my gosh. And it was hugs, like we were best friends immediately. But I could tell that there were people for me coming up to me that maybe didn't know me as well or that I didn't know as well. They definitely were a little more like, hey Elizabeth, it's da-da-da. And I just was like, hey. And then like, as soon as I identified who they were, like, hey. And then I went in for the hug, as friends. So I think it depends on the depth, the depth of relationship that you have with the people. And like if it's mutual, you'll be like BFFs with most people. And then with some will be like, oh, like, cause it's hard to match sometimes like someone's face in real life with their face on their like photo. Do you know what I mean? Their social media photo. Not everybody is in their stories as much as I am. And so it's hard at first. You're like, oh, man, you either know them by their handle and you can't think of their first name, or you like, I knew people's Instagram pictures and I was like, I know that picture. So I know that we follow each other and we've exchanged some messages, but I'm like, who is that? So it's nice when like the ice is broken with, hey, I'm so-and-so. You also have a name badge that's got your handle on it, which helps. And then once it's like, hey, I'm so-and-so, it's like, oh, and then hugs. So it's a little bit of both, a little bit of BF. Actually, it's a lot of BFF and a little bit of awkward depending on the depth of relationship, if that makes sense. Were you given suggestions for places to visit? Yes. So here's the thing. When you buy your ticket, you get let into a private Facebook group for the conference. And that, I gotta say, it was a little overwhelming. That group was so active, always comments, always posts, but so helpful because people that were local to Anaheim, like the Southern California area, were posting all kinds of places, like here are all the planner places, all the supply, like the craft supply places. Here are really popular restaurants. Here's how far the beach is. Like you are not for want of suggestions for things to do that weekend. Like it's packed. And in that Facebook group is also where people connect with each other to be roommates. So there's a lot of connecting that happens in this internal Facebook group. So I guess I'll just say, actually, let me kind of connect that just to talk about the Facebook group. That is something I didn't know was a thing that I think I wish that I had known about before, or just so that I knew that that's where people got their info. But all of the communication once you've got the ticket is through that Facebook group. So announcements are there. You get more detailed information, the schedule, and then just people posting what they're going to bring as table mate gifts. I'll get back to that. People taking pictures of their luggage that they got, that they're so excited. I mean, anything under the sun, anything Go Wild is in that private Facebook group. So if you are looking at going next year, make sure when you've purchased your ticket, you immediately join that Facebook group. It will be more information than you could ever need, but it really is helpful. People posting things like, oh, here's my top 10 things that you might not think to pack that you should pack. You know, stuff like that. That's really, really helpful. So, that actually connects to the next question. What did you forget to bring? This is going to sound so stupid, but I packed perfectly fine until I got to the airport and realized I forgot my phone charger. Like, who does that? I had a bag full of technology, and I had cords for my watch. I had spare outlets, USB ports. The actual cord for my phone, I forgot. Nothing else. I didn't forget anything else. I had exactly what I needed. I didn't overpack. And I was really, really kind of proud of myself. Connected to forgetting to bring and the packing, people talk a lot about having an extra suitcase. I wholeheartedly agree. Now, while I heard that there was less swag this year than there was in previous years, I still fully filled this bad mama jamma right here, partially because I got a pillow. I'll have a swag video up that'll show the pillow. But what I did was I traveled on Southwest. Southwest gives you 2 checked bags for free. And so I packed all of my stuff into a carry-on bag that fit into this big bag. So that when I got to the hotel, I took out my carry-on and I had a totally open big suitcase. Highly recommend that you do that. Highly, highly. You just don't want to stress about not everything fitting, and you don't want to stress about having to ship stuff back to you. Just no, thank you. Would you get your own room again? Not sure if I already said this, but I had my own room this year. So technically I did fly with a friend who was also flying out of Austin. So Marielle, Mom and a Girl with Plans, we flew into Anaheim together. I had my own room and then I flew back by myself. And I loved having my own room. I loved it so much. It's not for everybody. I asked my husband shortly after I bought the ticket, like, babe, like, can I start, what do you think? Like, do you think I could start saving up to be able to not have to split a room financially? And he's like, yeah, I mean, whatever you want. It's your money. I get an allowance. Like we give each other an allowance every month. And we discussed kind of a shared amount that could kind of be chipped in to the cause. And if you can afford it, and if you're like me and you just need some downtime sometimes, yes, I would definitely recommend your own room if you can afford it. I'll just say that again. It's not cheap. I think it was, at the end of the day, maybe like $800, something like that. Just for the room itself. It would have been so much cheaper to have other roommates, but I feel like God knew what I needed, because at the time that I booked the room, I didn't know I was pregnant. And I was so thankful to have my own room, because in the afternoons, I just needed like a nap. And I was so thankful to be able to go back to my room and nobody else be there. It was amazing. And so I would absolutely do that again. Do I recommend it for other people? Only if you really, for some reason, need some decompression time. Because I think that part of the experience is the interacting with other people. I think sharing a room gives you an opportunity to connect with new people in a new way. And I think that's really valuable. But, you know, if you've got gut issues and you're pregnant, you might want to have your own room. So that's all I'll say about that. When and where is next year's event? Wouldn't I like to know? They have not come out with that. Apparently in previous years, they would announce the location on the last day of the conference. They did not do that this year. And then for April Fool's Day, they got jokes and told us it would be in Antarctica, which it is not. So I do not know where it will be, but I will say they seem to have been moving west, and I think they're going to move back east. And I saw on someone's Instagram that the Wild for Planner people were meeting up in Florida. So I don't know if that's because someone lives in Florida or because they're checking out a venue in Florida. I do not know. But I felt like that was like a little nugget of information. They're meeting up in Florida. I will also say, so many planner people love Disney so much that choosing Anaheim, where Disneyland is, was genius. They would be just as genius to do it in Florida around Disney World. And so I don't know that that's where it is, but I think that's my guess. But we shall see. Okay, do they show you how to use different layouts at the conference? And I'm going to connect that with the question of what could be improved. So let's start with what could be improved. There were a few things that could be improved, but it sounds like one of them is a reoccurring issue, and maybe there aren't ideas for how to improve it. But I think the line to get into the room the first day is really chaotic. I mean, there wasn't enough room for the line to weave as a snake, and so it started doubling over. And then at some point, they told a bunch of people to move to another room, and then they lost their space in line. Excuse me, that was very chaotic. And then honestly, when they opened the doors, it was a rush. People just rushed. So the line just kind of went out the window. So I think organization on getting people into the rooms would be nice. The question, do they show how to use different layouts, is an interesting one, and kind of for me falls under the what could be improved. This is an interesting conference because it has people from all different planner worlds. This is not a happy planner conference. This is not a conference for any type of planner. This is for everybody. So you've got people that use discs, you've got people that use coils, you've got people who bullet journal and who use binder systems, like all across the board. And so with the question, do they show you how to use different layouts? The answer to that is no, because everyone uses a different planner at this conference. However, I do want to put that in the what could be improved category. While I appreciated the camaraderie and the motivational encouragement speeches, like I wanted more how to do these things, how to set up my planner in a way that makes it more functional for my needs. And I think there's a way to do that with a planner conference. I just don't know how when everyone uses something different. So again, kind of strange for the what could be improved, saying that what I want, I don't know how they could do it, but does that make sense? I wish there was more how-tos, how to use planners. Maybe there are breakout sessions by brand. I don't know if that would, afternoon sessions by brand, would that work? Something like that. But something a little more practical, nitty-gritty, on the ground. How do I get this done? I think that would be really, really nice. Anything else for what could be improved? I think it's important to vet really well all of the speakers and to, make sure that what they're saying is relevant to the audience. And I'm saying this generically for every conference that I go to. I want to make sure the information that I'm receiving is relevant. And I think that there were really awesome people in our community that would have been great speakers that weren't speakers, and that I think could have replaced other speakers, if that makes sense. So I guess feedback for the Go Wild folks would just be that it's okay to pick speakers from within our community that can be more relatable to who we are. Where does the swag come from? Swag comes from sponsors, people that want to get their company out there. They give away a lot of stuff. And I'll keep this separate from the table questions. We're doing budget and table questions, don't worry. I'm getting there. Where does the swag come from? So again, different sponsors, but as far as where and when, on the first day when you check in, you get I love this t-shirt, you guys. The Go Wild t-shirt. It says Go Cal Planaheim 2022. And it's so soft. So this is, I think, from Christiane Designs. So she was a sponsor. So we had a really nice tote bag with the t-shirt and our badge. I'm trying to think if there was anything. Like a selfie light. That was kind of the first taste of swag. And then obviously the tables on the first day covered in swag. Each table is sponsored by a company or small shops, and they just deck out the table with stuff at each kind of place setting. And then if there are speakers throughout the conference that are representing companies, they will have, at the end of their speech, the swag fairies will come in, and each person is assigned to a table, and they'll pass out swag to everybody at the table. So, if you've got a couple of brands represented on a certain day, you not only would have, or on the first day, you'd not only have the swag from your table, but then as each speaker comes up, they're like, oh, and we've got a special gift for you. And then everybody starts screaming, and the swag fairies come in, and they have swag from the speaker that just spoke. So yeah, stuff is constantly coming in through the different speakers. And then you get swag just from your fellow attendees with TableMate gifts and stuff like that, which again, we will get to. Last question, not related to budget and table questions, is what is the level of drinking and were there sober options? So again, I was pregnant, so I was very sober. And level of drinking depends on the people that you are with. Again, context matters. But I will say, from what I saw kind of looking outward as a sober person, there was a fair amount of drinking. I think that people see this as a chance to cut. I don't think that anybody was sloppy, but I think people see this as an opportunity to cut loose and just relax. And for many, that means drinking, and there are dance parties and stuff like that. So there's one party where there's an open bar, and then there was a party where you could purchase drinks. There was a bar and you could purchase drinks. So I think I would say level of drinking is pretty moderate to a little bit high, just depending on your circle of people. And sober options, there's always sober options, always. So yeah, I think I had like a Diet Coke or something like that. And I never felt uncomfortable. I never felt pressured to drink. And, you know, even if I hadn't been pregnant, while I do drink, I drink very little, and I would have felt perfectly comfortable abstaining or having very little and would not have felt pressure to drink. So again, it is there and it is flowing in abundance, but it's totally avoidable. Totally avoidable. Okay, so let's get to the table questions, or a lot of those. Do you select the table you want each day? Yes, which is both awesome and a little traumatic for the first day. The first day is the day that has the sponsored tables with all the swag on it. And it's first come, first serve. So when that door opens, when you get in there, you are scrambling. And I mean scrambling to find a table. And that's can be high stress for a lot of people. And maybe that's something under the what could be improved category, is like how to do tables on the first day. Because it was anxiety inducing for me, and I don't have anxiety. It was very overwhelming. But yes, you select the table you want each day. And the second day, there aren't sponsored tables, but we kind of stayed in the same area that we were at the previous day, me and a couple of gals, and we had different people at our table the second day. So you just sit where you want to sit. How did I select a table? To be honest, I was looking for certain brands. So on the first day, the tables are all decked out. I said that already. And you kind of wanted, you just look around at the tables and you pick the table that has an open seat and that has like the decor or the brand, or like you see something swag wise on the table that like catches your eye. I'm keeping things very real here. And I remember hearing that the zebra pen table was going to be insanity. I heard that the paper panda table was going to be gorgeous. And then the cloth and paper table. I heard that those tables were going to be insane. And by the time we got in, they were full. And Zebra had like maybe 10 tables. They pimped out their tables. They were so good. But so we ended up, I wanted a table in the back near the restroom. So we were looking for a back row table that had stuff that looked cool. And so we ended up at a Bloom Daily Planners table. And again, I'll show you my swag at some point. So follow-up question, different or same tables each day? Different tables. Maybe people ended up sitting at the same table the second day, but you don't have to. How many people at a table? 10 people at a table. What are table mate gifts? Table mate gifts are exactly what they sound like. They are gifts for your table mates, the people that are sitting at the table with you. On the first day, because they are sponsored tables and they're packed with stuff, you know, the first day is about letting the sponsors shine with the goodies that they put on the table. So the second day is the day where there isn't a bunch of stuff on the table, and that's where you can, if you want to, 100% optional, you can bring gifts for everybody at your table. So if there's 10 seats at a table, that means bringing 9 gifts, excluding yourself. And what ends up happening, I think I said this to the people at my table, I'm like, this feels like Christmas, like a gift exchange. And I wasn't paying attention to who gave me a gift and who didn't. So you really don't notice. So if it's not something you want to do, you don't have to. But we just kind of like passed around gifts, and I ended up getting, you know, a number of gifts from different people on the second day from my table. That is what a table mate gift is. And they really varied from homemade items to purchased items, stickers, pouches, pens, I mean, just whatever. One was like a survival kit, like a conference survival kit. So those are, you know, a little bit of medicine and hand sanitizer and tissues and snacks and stuff like that. So it really varied what the gifts were. What is a sponsored table called? Table mate gifts. Okay, so those are different, and I'll just reiterate. The sponsored table is on day one, and that is the table that is covered by gifts from a sponsor who donated a bunch of their products to decorate the table. That's on day one. Sponsored table is day one. Table mate gifts are day two, and those are the little things that we exchange with one another, totally optional, on the second day. Little gifts that we give to each other. So that is the difference. So now let's talk about money. Money. This is an expensive trip. I'm just going to say it. This was an expensive trip, and you absolutely, if you want to go, you should start saving for it. If you're like me and you do not have a disposable income, am I saying that right? Disposable income. You don't have a lot of money. You need to save. You need to save for it. And somebody asked me, where is it? I think it was tips for, suggestions for best deals. Unfortunately, there isn't. It's kind of common sense when it comes to best deals. This is a very difficult trip to find coupons for or to find additional discounts for. So how much does the conference cost and what does it cover? The conference was about $550, the ticket, the entrance ticket. And that only covers the conference itself, admission to the conference itself, which is about 2.5 days. There are other summits that happen in the days prior, a budget summit and a small shop summit. Those have an additional fee, and those are separate from the main conference. So $550 for 2.5 days. It does not cover hotel. It does not cover food. It does not cover activities, beyond what is slated during the conference schedule. So everything, and travel, that is separate. How much did I spend? I wish that I probably, if I sat down and, because I used my separate bank account, so Josh and I, just a little fun fact for you, we put all of our money in the same pot. We share all of our money, but then we have separate like fun money accounts where we give ourselves an allowance. And I have an EJ Joyful Plans account. And so I did keep my spending separate so I could track it, and I didn't do the final numbers. But I will just say, I think so if the ticket was $550, and then my plane ticket, I think was about, I want to say $400, and then the hotel, $800-ish, not including food. We're already looking at 8, 9, 10. Without food, we're looking at $1,750, $1,750. Food-wise, I'd guess maybe $50 a day. I did have a friend pick up some kind of continental breakfast type things from Target for me when she arrived early. And so I had orange juice and bagels and cream cheese in my room. And so I did try to, as far as like best deals and trying to save money, that would be a great thing. If you can maybe do breakfast in your room, that would save you some money. I'll also say that, so I would guess $2,000 was about how much I spent. But you do not have to spend that much, because if that hotel room was $800, you can split that with 4 other people easily. And if you did that, that would be much closer to $1,000, depending on how far you're flying from. So I know that's a bit of a range. So the next question was, how much should someone save? If you want to be real careful, save $2,000. If you are stateside and you will, or if you live locally and you don't have to stay in a hotel room, or you're okay with having roommates, you could probably get away with, maybe to be careful, maybe $1,200. But for me, yeah, it was like $2,000. But keep in mind that tickets usually come on sale about a year in advance. So you have a year to save. And for those of us who had our own room and that kind of just went all out for it, we have been saving for more than that. Remember, this conference was announced more than 2 years ago and it got canceled. So people have been saving for a long time. I had been saving for over a year and a half. So it was very easy to save that much with that lead time. So you kind of have to start early. Did I have a spending limit? I was mindful of how much I had in my account that I had set aside. But no, I wasn't like, oh, I'm only going to spend $50 today. Because the other thing you have to keep in mind, and I don't think I said this about the schedule, is in the afternoons from like 1 to 6-ish, free time. So they leave the afternoons were open. And that was when people went out and did sightseeing and went to eat and went shopping and stuff like that. And I didn't have, I was staying at the hotel. Most people stay at the hotel. So that means, you're Ubering or taking a Lyft everywhere. So that was something that I hadn't really thought about. And so if you budget, let's say $50 a day, and that's for food, don't forget that you might want to leave the hotel and then you're paying for an Uber or a Lyft, and that kind of tacks on. So again, I did not have a spending limit, but I was paying attention to my account. And at the end of the day, I probably spent upwards of $2,000. But again, it doesn't have to, you do not have to spend that much. There's no way. Like, that is on the high end, in my opinion. You could get away with under $1,000 for sure. So, but just make sure that you account for all of the little things like Lyft, Uber, food. If you do go with some people shopping, if you want to buy something, that sort of thing. Back to that suggestions for best deals. This is kind of a tricky one because you'll get different opinions when it comes to the hotel itself. So I know that some folks, not many, but some folks stayed at hotels nearby that were not the conference hotel because it was more affordable. And you would have to ask them if it was worth it driving in and out at the end of the day, and if they felt left out or kind of disconnected from the conference experience. From what I could tell, it's best to stay at the hotel where the conference is. It's just a different experience. People leave items on different floors, like de-stash tables or like just de-stash items, like in front of elevators and stuff. And it kind of becomes like a treasure hunt kind of thing in the hotel. Like Go Wild kind of takes over a hotel. And that's a really fun experience. And you lose that if you stay somewhere else. But when it comes to looking for best deals, another thing would be staying at a cheaper hotel. If the savings from staying at a cheaper hotel is greater than the cost to Uber or Lyft between hotels. And if the time cost is worth it. So just something else to think about. And the last question pertaining to budget, is it worth the cost? In 2 ways, the information received and meeting all the people. This is a really hard question for me, if I'm being completely honest. I choke a little bit thinking that I could have spent $2,000 for what ended up being, I arrived, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I flew out Sunday. So I'll say 4 days. $2,000 for 4 days. Ugh, that's a lot of money to me. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a lot of us. When I think about the conference content, just the content itself, I can't say that it was worth $2,000. Now, again, I should look at it from if I wasn't staying in a room by myself and kind of living that extra life. Worth $1,200, maybe. But it really was priceless, there being an opportunity to connect with people and to be in relationship with people. And for that reason, I have to say it is worth it. Because without the conference itself, I don't think it would have ever happened, or it would have taken a long time to happen. So I'm thankful for the conference, not necessarily for all of the content of the speakers, but for what it did to me and to the folks that were there, that it connected us with one another. And to me, that was worth it. I hope that it makes sense, me saying it that way, because it's nothing to the speakers. I think it's just, I had this idea that the planner conference was going to be more planny, and it's not. And so when it comes to like value add to my life, I mean, it felt good. And I had some good reminders about life, but I didn't need it per se, but I needed the relationships. I needed to connect with the people that I connected with. My heart needed it. My spirit needed it. Oh, and yeah, that was priceless. So I hope that this information has been helpful in painting a picture of what it was like. I know it's hard to see a lot of videos, playback videos. It's hard to see and hear people talk about it, and like to really kind of put your hands on what the experience would be like for you. But I hope that the way that I've described this has made it seem a little bit more real to you. And if you have any more questions, I am so happy to answer them. Leave me a comment down below. Oh, feels like I'm going into an outro. I'm not. But I really, truly, I wish that I had someone, that would like really just get down to the nitty gritty with me with questions. So I would love to be that person for you, for real. If you have follow-up questions and you want to leave them publicly, you can do that here on YouTube. You can also slide into my DMs over on Instagram, ejjoyful_plans. I am so down to answer any of the questions that you have. And I mean, I think it's a big decision. I think because the money is not cheap, it is something that needs to be a thoughtful decision. And I understand that. And I understand as planners, we want to have as much information as possible. And that's why this is now going on a 50-minute video because I really just want to make sure that you guys have the information that you need. So I think I'm going to call it a video. I think I answered every question. It was a bit all over the place, a little discombobulated, but I hope that it was helpful. And I look forward to hearing you and your questions as they arise. I guess I'll call it. Oh, and again, if you came here just looking at Go Wild stuff, welcome. I do a lot of planning stuff here on my channel. I love hanging out with people and sharing life with people, and I hope that you'll consider sticking around and subscribing. Until next time, friend, God bless you. God bless you and keep you. Do something creative today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.